Good morning. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2014, and this is Before the First Cup with Zori and Lady Pitbull on UCY.TV. Good morning, lady.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, wide awake.
Good. Good.
How about
That's
you?
a good thing. I'm doing alright. It's a beautiful day out. It's supposed to be sunny and in the 70s all week long here.
Ooh.
So this is gonna be, we've had like one hot day, like in the 80s, but after that it just bottomed out into the 50s and 60s. But now this is gonna be our first long stretch of good weather. And I have finally, hopefully, knock on wood, turned my heat off for the rest of the winter, for the rest of the summer.
I know what you mean there.
Yup.
Yeah, our weather's been nice here. I mean, in the 80s since I've been back. It's been warm.
Nice. That's a good deal. No big earthquakes or anything, huh?
Well, nope, not that I felt.
That's good. That's always a good thing.
Although I seen somewhere where they were saying that drilling for more water might cause more earthquakes. I didn't really read the article. I just kind of glanced over it.
Wow.
But, I mean, more earthquakes. We get earthquakes anyway, so no biggie.
Yeah. Just as long as you guys don't fall off into the ocean, I think you'll be alright.
Well, I know that's San Francisco and down. They are built on fill down there.
Oh, landfill, yeah.
I'm way above that. I will have oceanfront property if that happens.
Oh, jeez.
That's kind of morbid, huh?
Yeah. Pretty much. Wow.
Yeah, after I said it, I thought, oh, Dodie, that didn't sound too good.
Right. Oh, my goodness. So how are you?
I'm okay, except, things happen and I haven't been around the computer much, and I got on this morning and I swear, I could not believe how many bad headlines there are involving police and things that never make it to the mainstream.
Oh yeah, with the police, that shit's never gonna end.
Oh, I know. I just look at it and I just want to be sick to my stomach because these things should be on the headlines of every news organization out there, instead of all the, bullshit that's out there.
Fluff.
Yeah. It's like just a few of the headlines. California teen shot to death on side of the highway during a traffic stop. Federal court, police can warrantlessly break down doors and seize guns without charges. Washington man beaten to death by police as he cried for help in front of witnesses. It's just Florida man and his dog shot by SWAT team during pre-dawn no-knock raid, and they found nothing. This goes on and on and on, and mainstream doesn't say a word.
No. Well, unless it's local, I'm sure with some of those stories, their local news organizations are covering that. Those are kind of big.
Well, you would think, but I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I just know that I read my local paper and I see nothing about anything like this. And a lot of this is happening in California, and in different states, but you tell people about it and they'll just go, oh, I didn't hear about that one. And it's no big deal. It doesn't bother me until they come to my door.
Right. That's usually how it works.
I know.
By the time they get to your door, people, it's too frickin' late.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when you try and advise your kids and your kids think they know better until it happens to them. Well, the adults seem to be in that same mindset,
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's, what is that? It's called what? Arrested Development. You know who? It's Arrested Development. And adults are suffering from this crap all the time. That's why everybody's medicated and running around.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know. They want to turn us into Arrested Development humanoids. Yeah, exactly. So, just worthy of being beaten to a bloody pulp every time they say jump.
I know, and then then like say some good people get together and they want to do something good for the homeless, the hungry. Well, this one town bans acts of charity because it undercuts need for government agencies. Can you believe that?
It says it all right in that freaking headline, dude. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's literally telling us that we cannot take care of ourselves or each other.
Right. That it has to be done through the government. And this husband and wife in Daytona Beach, they retired a year ago. So they decided they wanted to do something for the people that, were the homeless, and they started feeding them at this park once a week. They'd come in, and everyone, and they got to know all the people and then, it was a year, and it was their birthday for 1 year, and the police showed up, told them they could no longer do that, slapped them all with a $375 fine, including the people that came to help them serve, and told them they are banned from the park forever, and they cannot feed the homeless anymore because they need them to go to the agencies that are set up for that. Can you believe that? You can't even give someone food without getting fined or ticketed.
Well, this is the society that they are trying to restructure here.
Yeah, it seems to be working because, and it's just, I can't, now more and more cities, remember, this isn't nothing new. I mean, they've already used the excuse that, well, we don't know what you're feeding them, so they might get sick to their stomach, so we can't have you feeding them. And I think that was in New York, I think. And all these different states, they're all coming up with ways to divide us even more, to keep us from uniting, to keep us apart from each other is what it's all about, and to destroy our empathy for others. And that's bad news.
I agree. I mean, if you're not a soup kitchen, a certified soup kitchen that serves everything out of freaking cans, have loads of BPA in every single one of those cans that they serve out of, then you can't feed the homeless.
Right, and aren't they always cutting, they're always saying, oh, our budget, we have to cut back here and cut back there. Oh, we won't be able to help this much with the poor, and then they won't, they can't do it, but they don't want anyone else to do it.
That's right. That's correct. It's so that they can control every little aspect of our lives, from cradle to grave, and a ass beating in between.
Yeah, and trying to destroy, any compassion. I mean, people are self-centered enough, and then when they can't stand to see someone that isn't, of that mindset. I don't know, it just makes me so sad that people are allowing this to happen.
Yeah, and it just goes on and goes on and goes on, and nobody says squat about it. We're talking about it, but then again, what's that doing? I mean, we're just talking about it, over breakfast or over coffee,
Yeah. Did you see anything on the American Spring?
I haven't seen anything at all. I have no.
I've seen pictures. There were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people there.
That's a lot of people.
There were a lot of. I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to be that big. I mean,
really? Where did you see that at?
Let me find.
Shit.
Yeah, I just went.
Here.
Wow. Yeah, that's probably why. It was probably in the local paper there. Let me see if I can find that picture again. Because I called my friend in and I go, look at this. I didn't think it was going to be this big. But yeah.
Is there, YouTube videos or something?
Now,
There's gotta be, probably. I mean.
I didn't look at YouTube. Oh wait, okay, here, let me look and see if this has the picture. Oh, I know, I can just do images for it. But, let me get the link here. Maybe, come on. There must have been an update and it wants to update on my thing. We can't play clips though.
No, that's okay. I mean,
yeah.
We can read stuff. It's no big deal.
Yeah, okay. Let me see here where it was. But I mean, I didn't read the article, but I looked I seen the picture briefly, and then I had to leave. Okay.
Yeah, it's, I haven't heard nothing. I had to work all weekend, so, that's...
so both of us weren't really around the computers much.
Yeah, I'm pretty much working like 7 days a week right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's not even stable. I'm on shaky ground here, people.
Yeah. But we do what we have to do, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't find that.
Well, that's okay.
Anyway.
Go with that article you...
Hey, the merit, this one blew my mind, and it's titled, Militarized Police Besiege Community Over 400 Kids After False Police Report. Okay, it says, in El Dorado, Texas, an anonymous hoax call alleging child abuse prompted a massive show of force upon a small religious community. SWAT teams armed with automatic weapons, helicopters, and an armored personnel carrier, a paramilitary police force descended upon the peaceful, cooperative community, prepared to treat everyone as guilty until proven innocent. What happened next was the largest child custody action in Texas state history, resulting in the forceful separation of over 400 children from their family. The story revolves around a community of religious people that live together cooperatively on a 1,700-acre property in El Dorado, Texas. Hundreds of close-knit, hard-working members live simple lives, cultivating their own crops, raising their own animals, educating their own children, and minding their own business. You know, something that we just can't have in this country. That was my comment.
Exactly.
Worship was the center of everyone's life in the community. They shared a common faith in the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints, which is a particular set of Mormonism. They constructed a large white temple as a worship center. The community gathered twice a day to pray together. Now, this is exactly the kind of people that the government go after. The ones that don't, their beliefs are different. Just like Waco, their beliefs are a little different than ours, so they, it's easy to ridicule them and to, make yourself look good for doing this to these people. But, let's see, I'll read a little bit more. It's a real long article. I'll put it in, the link in chat. But, let me see. Okay, it says here, the community came to a grinding halt in April 2008 when Texas authorities received a phone call from a girl who identified herself as Sarah, claimed to be 16 years old, and said she lived at the ranch and was pregnant and was being abused by her 50-year-old husband. By the way, no female matching this description was ever found. Let's see, and with little more than an anonymous call, the Schleicher County Sheriff's Department and Texas Department of Family Protective Services were granted a warrant to search everywhere and anywhere in order to find the girl that they put on there. Well, they went in, they couldn't find her, but they decided that the children were being abused in this community. And so they turned all the kids over to CPS. And they loaded them up in a bus with the mothers. The fathers were left there. And took them to these, well, I don't know, I call them a FEMA camp, these tents. And forced them all to be crowded and stay in these tents. They were abusive towards them. They were separating nursing babies from their mothers. This went on, you'll have to read because the article's really long, but this went on for over 2 months with the judge's approval, and this one social worker, she said she was very nervous about the whole thing, and she said the kids, they came into this laughing and joking around, and then they left. By the time they left, they were terrified and scared and crying, and a whole community, what they did to these families who did nothing. CPS, it's gotta be stopped. It just, yeah, and nobody put up a fuss.
Right.
Because, why? Because they didn't believe, they didn't believe in the same things most people do. So that made them criminals and should have their children taken away from them.
I remember when CPS pulled this crap back in 2008, and I remember thinking back then, and I remember distinctly thinking back then that this isn't over. They're going to find some other excuse down the road to go back in there and take these kids away again.
Yeah, and they went in there, with all the military force there is from the, all the stuff that's being given to all our police from the Iraq war and Afghanistan.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
And what they did to these people, they were something the government can't stand is for you to be minding your own business, taking care of your own children, and providing your own food. That's
right. That last comment, getting all the military weapons from Iraq and the cops coming back from Iraq, having that mindset. Yeah, absolutely. These guys, I've got an article to follow when we're done talking about this. We'll segue right into that.
Yeah, and the fact that they went in with machine gun, they knew there was no guns in this community. They knew these people were peace-loving people, and they go in fully geared up, pointing these machine guns at kids and women, and then, ripping them away from their husbands and their way of life and putting them in these little tents for months. Oh, God, I couldn't, and abusive. The CPS was abusive and threatening to the mothers. The story just made me sick to my stomach.
Oh, yeah. Because, okay, so they're polygamists that are in that.
Yeah, but
that's the reason, one of the cited reasons, they even cited this in the trial, they did that to David Koresh as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Oh, he's got multiple partners with multiple, children by multiple women and all this crap, and
these people, they even go out, they go off to themselves. They aren't even affecting anyone else's lives. It's not like they're in the middle of the city and you think that they're a bad influence on your kids or whatever. They're off to themselves and completely taking care of themselves with no help from anyone, but we can't have that in a free society.
No, we can't. And they've got to be told, just like everybody else, that they're slaves and they're meant to be roughed up and beaten their ass. You know what I mean? Just like we were saying earlier. You're born, you get your ass beat and told you were a slave, and then you die.
Yeah.
This is horrible. And this is just exactly, it smacks exactly the same as it did in 2008. I think it was a fake call too, right?
Yeah, it was. The girl was never found, and no one of hers, and even after they knew that, after the judge knew that, she did not call an end to it.
Right. So, and here it is happening again. And, same tactics are used here too. They think everybody is that freaking stupid.
Well, I guess they are because, they're being allowed to do it again.
How shallow are people's memory holes that they're rolling the same damn thing over again on these people in the same fashion?
The men who are going in there doing this, don't they think, hey, this could happen to me and my family?
You know that there's the same cops and the same damn CPS workers. It's like a freaking nightmare Groundhog Day replay of 6 years ago for these people.
Man, I don't know. And people just, and hardly even a whimper out of anyone.
No, because they're scared and terrorized, and, if they step out of line and, show a pulse being raised or cry because of what's going on, then your kids get taken away from you. And soon it'll all be done electronically. You know what I mean? Put this little armband on and we'll see if your pulse have a miniature lie detector in there. You know what I mean? I mean, they're gonna start having it. They have to route these communities out, these self-sustaining communities. They've got to get them into this techno grid that they're putting all of the rest of us in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they've got to hassle these Amish raw milk farmers and these kind of people with the Mormons, you know what I mean? Mormons are, we all know about the Mormons, you know what I mean? So,
but I mean, who are they bothering?
But it doesn't give anybody the right to make up crap, and send in SWAT teams. That makes no sense whatsoever. If there's a couple of men that are, if there's really something happening, you
they
warrant out for them and you go to knocking on the door or whatever.
And they kept for a few months, fostered the kids out, and then eventually returned them after months. And what is that doing to the child?
Oh, absolutely. And these kids are mostly, 6 years old, 6 years and older, they're going through this crap again. So, this is it's gone way too far. I don't know where the public outcry is on this, and what in the hell is the matter with that freaking judge?
I know, and she, even after they had known that this was a hoax, and they did find out who called, and it's a woman who does this a lot, that calls in phony reports and stuff. So they knew who really called, and they continued.
Her? It's so weird.
Yep.
She's the one causing the
you know what? I say CPS and her, really. Because they had to be egged on.
Absolutely.
And the judge is probably some self-righteous that, thinks what their way of life is wrong, and so she's agreeing with anything they want to do.
Right. CPS is bored, they need more victims.
We have all these new toys we need to use.
New toys, absolutely, dude. This is sick, man. I'm very, very, very pissed off about it. And I'm pissed off that they didn't even change their damn game plan out around this time. They did the exact same thing. It's just, what in the hell is the matter with these people down there?
Well, they were probably hoping that they would put up some kind of defense so they could burn them out or something.
Sure, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely know it. That's probably why.
Same with Bundy Ranch and everything. They're trying to get people to fight back to start this off. They are.
Right. So, in a way, as long as everything has ended there, as far as this American Spring thing went, then it's good because it was peaceful, right?
Right, as far as I know it was, and Jason and them should be back pretty soon, and we'll hear from him. He's going back to the Bundy Ranch from there. Him and Mama Bear went out to D.C. with a few others, and so it'd be nice. Maybe Vince can get Jason to call in and tell us how it went.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could hear from somebody who had boots on the ground there, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. So anyway, but the picture really shocked me. I even called my roommate and I went, look at this. I figured it'd be like most of, there'd be a few people and that would be it. But the picture just blew my mind. I thought it was, people from all over the place were there. So.
That's cool. That's good. And did you see anybody armed?
No, not in Washington D.C. They would
good.
Be
well,
good.
Because
that's
Screw that.
But, and I've protested ever since college, and I found that the people you're protesting for, they don't listen. They don't even know you're there really. But with this many people, there's a big difference. It's not just, a few. But yeah.
Well, a buddy of mine made a point, and it's a point that I've been thinking about ever since he freaking said it, that, you know what? They can freaking keep DC. We don't want anything that they have there. Why would we want to surround that place and we don't want it? Keep it, dude. You guys can have DC and we'll take the rest of the country. How's that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't want it. We don't want nothing to do with it. Keep it. We don't, don't worry about it. We'll stay right where we're at. And you guys stay there. And that's great.
But that's not going to happen.
No. But they are independent from the rest of the U.S. I mean, they were the ones that declared that. So that's cool. Have Washington declare its independence. That's that's
the only land that they can own, and yet they're always saying they own all of our land, federal land.
Right. Let them just have D.C. Just stay your asses there, and just do what you want to do there, and leave the rest of us out of it.
But they need us. They need our money.
Absolutely. Unfreaking believable. Alright, well I'm glad everything was peaceful and, that's gonna be the key here. The key is going to be having enough discernment where you can decipher a staged event from a real event, or somebody who's trying to incite bullcrap, and it's everywhere. And that's going to be the key. The key is going to be having everybody say hell no, but we will defend ourselves. Let me tell you that, if you guys are the ones that start it. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, it's like this one guy, I watched this video and he was saying that, if they go back to, Bundy Ranch, they say, we'll be here, but we will not fire the first shot. They will fire the first shot that will be heard around the world, and we will finish it.
Right.
Yeah. But they see, they want it to be on the, not on the government or law enforcement side. It's got to be, that, just like, Waco. Yeah, they fired the first shot. No, they didn't. So.
Oh, no. We all know who fired the first shot there.
Look, how does a big, huge steel door, like that was out there, disappear that had all the gunshots?
Yeah.
And they said they never shot off a round.
It would have been burnt up and melted in some parts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, no. That would have been very clear as far as evidence goes, and they had to hide it. They had to hide everything. They had to burn it all to the ground.
And now a lot of more people are watching with critical eye. I think people were easily taken in back when Waco happened, because that was really Ruby Ridge, but most people didn't know about Ruby Ridge. But Waco, everybody got taken in then, I think, then. But I think they're a lot more critical now of what, the government's doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they've put us through Oklahoma, then Waco, then 9/11, and they did 9/11 twice. 9/11 was actually the first one back in 93, but they've just been doing this crap and getting us into these wars, and, and
people are
installing a police state, I mean, the whole rest of it, and people aren't that stupid.
And then with the veterans, did you see that where they found that there was a whistleblower? It said they were keeping a second set of books. People were dying, waiting to get in to get help and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And now that really angers people, because these are our veterans. They went over there supposedly protecting our rights, and then we're letting them die, and they're getting all these funds. Where's the money going?
Well, that's the thing. It's like Jules says all the time. It's poking the hornet's nest with a stick, right? And that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to get the vets pissed off so that one vet that's on loads of medication, that's all the excuse they excuse. They need it. They're dying, they're looking, they're probing, they're You know, I mean, every single definition in the dictionary, you know, they're inciting, they're...
Right, and now that the vets from Vietnam, they're older, they're needing more attention, and they don't want to spend the money. Let's face it, they don't want to spend the money because they could give a flying...
Well, yeah, it's all in the freaking death panels, and it's all in the, you know, Obamacare. It's all.
We should not be seeing vets on the corners begging for money.
A dystopian nightmare.
Yeah.
No, we should not see homeless vets. You know, they're promised, you know, they're these young kids out of high school, fresh out of high school, you know, they go after them.
Right, and this is one of the worst wars for, like, losing limbs and more vets came back, you know, just destroyed than I think any other one. In other wars, most of them died, but yes, they're coming back with no limbs and no life.
Mutilated.
Yeah.
Literally, and I feel so bad for these guys out here and everybody within the sound of our voice, man. Just, you know, thank you for your service. And,
yeah.
You know, that's, they're doing this crap on purpose.
They are.
But that is exactly why we're all here talking about it. So,
yeah.
It's gotta stop. Our foot has to go down somewhere. And I think as long as these things keep getting, you know, keep being successful and peaceful, I say keep going. Let's keep going this way because eventually we will be heard.
Yeah, you know, and when I hear a young person saying they're going into the military, I just, like my roommate, she was in the military, and her daughter, her family's been, you know, almost always gone in, and her daughter was going to go in. And I mean, it took everything I had to keep my mouth shut at this family reunion thing. But after that, I just talked to her, and my roommate talked to her too, and she decided not to.
Good.
Very happy about that.
Another, you know, a lot of it is too, they have to, get the young people off our shores so that when they do come in for the clampdown, everybody's off fighting foreign wars. All the young, strong, virile men are off, you know, offshore fighting. You know, Ukraine.
And you know, they get the minorities and the lower, you know, people that are poor because they promise them an education, they promise them this, and they promise them that. What happens when all of a sudden now you don't have no legs? Well, what do you do now?
Right. Well, this is why they're sending them off and getting them offshore, so when they actually do decide to pull the trigger on all this crap, you know, all the young men, the good trained young men are, you know, incapable of doing it.
Yeah, and they're a threat, so they're making sure they don't have guns, and because they know how to use them.
Put them all on meds, shoot them up with squalene before they go offshore. I mean, you name it.
Yep, they're guinea pigs. That's what you're doing. You're volunteering for. Right,
you're the property of the U.S. government, and your life is no longer yours.
Exactly. You know, what was it? I can't remember how it was, but this one person, he broke his leg or something like that, and he got charged for damaging government property.
Oh, yeah, see? What the hell is up with that? They're gonna use this shit against you. And,
their property.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy. It sure brought the point home. They can do anything, give you anything, you know, and you cannot sue because you signed a paper saying I'm yours.
Yup.
Do with me as you will.
Cannon fodder. I hate to use that word, but that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. And by the time everybody realizes this, because they're so young usually going in, man, that's when you become a man, right there is when you realize how the joke's on you, pretty much, and it does. And it's designed to get everybody pissed off and escalate that chance that somebody could just go off.
Mm-hmm.
This is the design of it.
Well, like a lot of these soldiers that came back, you know, this one stood out in my mind. He goes, I was over in Iraq, throwing people out of their homes, dragging them from their homes, only to come home and find I don't have a home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that are like that, you know, and they're pitting out here some of their, you know, fellow soldiers, right? They're put into law enforcement positions, and then others, like who said, "Hey, man, this is wrong," are in kind of our camp. So they're literally pitting brother against brother too. So this is it's not. Everybody needs to freaking reevaluate here. If you're, you know, coming a vet and you get a job as a cop, you really need to be like thinking about, you know, the people that, I mean, the American citizens trained to come after here, guys.
Right. You're supposed to protect, like that one Marine said. You're supposed to protect these people. What are you doing? You know, it isn't a war zone, but they're turning it into one. They
are turning it into one, and they're militarizing the cops.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you have SWAT teams going in on a religious sect that you know are not armed, come on.
That's right. Yeah. So maybe I should read this next one here.
Right, we got a little distracted there. I was just going to say, the one you wanted to read.
Well, is there any more that you want to say about the...
No, I get too upset. Let's go on to the next one.
Well, it's pretty much just the same kind of thing.
I know.
So there's probably more to that story about the Mormons than...
Well, yeah, I put the link in chat so they can read it. It's a real long article, but well worth the reading.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so Armed for War. Pentagon surplus gives local police an edge. So this is all Pentagon surplus. This is exactly, I mean, it's military surplus, guys, is really a great, cheap way to get equipment. Was of the Mark Hornke camp there for a while, and I know him personally. I'm kind of sidetracking off of this thing here, but military surplus is like a good way to go. So to equip yourself if you want to do it on the cheap. So
and they're getting it free. A lot of them.
Here we go. Yeah. So let me get into this here. So this is May 12th, 2014. As American military draws down its commitments in Iraq and Afghanistan, stateside ports, armories, depots, and warehouses are packed with excess military material and vehicles. Some of them, none worse from their tours in overseas war zones. So that's neat, guys. You can get like really cheap Jeeps and cheap like military gear. It's kind of cool, and it should be us really buying it instead of turning it over to the cops. Alright, a lot of those weapons, uniforms, trucks, and mine-resistant vehicles, bing, 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 are patrolling the streets of central Indiana and at virtually no cost to local law enforcement agencies. That's interesting. It gives a substantial amount of money, he said. Sorry, guys. It gives a substantial amount of money, said Steve Harless, Deputy Commissioner of the Indiana Department of Administration. Last year alone, we save approximately $14 million, and this year we're on pace to save a little over $13 million. So they're buying military surplus, guys. I mean, any one of us sitting here within the sound of my voice, can buy military surplus from these depots and warehouses. It's virtual. Mark Hornke did this stuff for years. That's, he buys, like, you have to buy a lot of something like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 500 of like boots.
Submachine guns or stuff.
Yeah, or boots or gloves or, he would buy these lots just go down to wherever the warehouse is where he bought it from and haul it back home. His wife didn't like all that too much, you know what I mean? Because there'd be like hundreds of boots around, but he would sell them to people for like $5. You know what I mean? And they'd be steel toe, really nice, like, you know, you can never have too many boots.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that, you know, gloves. I got some really nice, winter wear.
Camo clothes.
Yeah, winter wear, camo. I mean, my God, it's the best way to do it on the cheap. And so now here we go. The cops are doing it. And, you know, doing it on the cheap. And it's true. It's, you know, any of us could do this. It should be, like I said, it should be us buying them out and not these cops. But the cops are getting in on the deal too. And that's, you know, hey, all's fair and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, but they're not selling the submachine guns and the big old, steel, people carriers to us. Those things. No,
actually, believe it or not, if you have enough money, you can go buy yourself a tank from one of these places.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, absolutely. We all can. If we have enough money, I mean.
I want someone to buy me one.
Any one of us can buy one of those, what did I just say, man?
A tank.
A tank, but
yeah.
the police
are. Yeah, the people carrier things. Yeah.
No. It's trucks and mine-resistant vehicles. We can all buy, if we all had enough money, we could go buy these ourselves. So, and that's what a lot of, militia people do, actually.
Do they sell guns too, or just, anything else?
That I'm not entirely sure of, but I know the rest of this stuff. I think, I believe that the equipment has to be decommissioned, which means all the weaponry taken off of it. So okay. I believe that's the case. But, I mean, if you're one of these cop agencies or whatever, you can just, you know, pay somebody to re-equip it.
Well, they leave it equipped, I believe, for law enforcement.
Probably, yeah. You're probably right there. And they probably de-equip it if a civilian buys it.
Of course, you can't be armed like the police.
Right, well, of course not. So let me keep going here.
Okay.
Let's see, they're on pace to save a little over $13 million. That's millions of tax dollars saved by 326 Indiana sheriffs and police chiefs who otherwise could not afford the gear. They say they need to protect the public from increasingly armored civilians. So, increasingly armored criminals. That's what it says. And that's, you know, hey, that surplus stuff is up for grabs. You got the money, you can go buy it. So I'm not too alarmed by this, except they're buying all the good stuff up, guys. That's the problem there.
Yeah, and too, you know, the craziest part about this is that, you know, they're always saying police, you know, they gotta protect themselves, they're in so much danger, but police, people killing police has dropped over 33% in the last 2 years.
Right.
So why do they need all this protection? More people are killed by police, more innocent people are killed by police than police being killed.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. All right, I'm going to continue here. Let's see. It says, when I first started, obviously the sheriffs, or deputy commissioner of the Indiana Department of Administration's talking. When I first started, we really didn't have, I'm sorry guys. When I first started, we really didn't have the violence we see today, said Sergeant Dan Donning of the Morgan County Sheriff's Department. The weaponry is totally different now that it is the beginning of my career. Plus, you have a lot of people who are coming out of the military and have the ability and knowledge to build IEDs to defeat see, here we go, that was huge. And to defeat law enforcement techniques. Let me read that again. That was freaking ungodly important, you guys. So this Sergeant Dan Downing of the Morgan County Sheriff's Department says the weaponry is totally different now that it was in the beginning of my career. Plus, you have a lot of people who are coming out of the military and have the ability and knowledge to build IEDs to defeat law enforcement techniques.
There you go. The attack on the vets.
That's right. There we go. More stick poking.
We are going to train you to go kill. Then when you come back, we are going to punish you for going over there and killing.
That's right. That's the circular logic that you can never get freaking out of. Circular logic. Bam, 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 and there's no way out. And there's no way out of this way of thinking. So it's really, it's Arrested Development, just like we said. Alright, let me keep going, because that's pretty hardcore what I just read. As he spoke, Downing was perched over in the driver's seat of a 650,000-mile mine-resistant vehicle, MRAP, that once protected soldiers in Afghanistan from mines, rocket-propelled grenades, and 50 caliber weapons. The Morgan County SWAT team acquired the armored vehicle for essentially the cost of gas. And the time of the two deputies' drive to Mississippi and pick it up and bring it back home to Martinsville. See? So just the gas it costs to go pick it up and back, so that means, damn, that means they're getting this shit for free, you guys.
Yep.
We were actually approached when we'd stop to get fuel by people wanting to know why we needed this, what we were going to use it for. Are you coming to take our guns away? Said Downing. To come and take away our firearms, to come and take away their firearms, that is absolutely is not the reason why we got this vehicle. We got this vehicle because we of the need and because of increased violence that we have been facing over the past few years. I'll be the last person to come and take anybody's guns. That's what he said.
Right.
That's what he said. Yeah, and it is, right. Until the federal government orders your asses to take people's guns. Hello? Okay, Downing said his department would have used such a vehicle when it responded to a barricaded gunman during a SWAT call out in 2011, or when it or when it has faced with removing children from a Martinsville school during a shooting earlier that spring. All police chiefs got a wake-up call in late February 1997 when two men dressed in body armor carrying automatic weapons robbed a North Hollywood, California bank and engaged in a shootout with the police. High-powered weapons of the LAPD SWAT team were locked up in the armory of the department's training academy. Officers literally took weapons off the walls of their local gun stores to arm themselves against the gunmen. If we go to a bank robbery, let's say, and we're armed with our sidearm, we're going to be outgunned, said Franklin Police Chief Tim O'Sullivan, who has acquired several M16 rifles from the Pentagon 1033 surplus program. So perhaps you can buy.
Well, law enforcement can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be good I'm sure you could look into that, whether civilians can or not. It's probably cheap, if civilians.
Should look into it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I'm not so sure if anybody knows. Let's see, and we're so trying to be provocative. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. And so we're trying to be proactive and not to be scary when we need as well equipped as the bad guys sometimes. When we need to be as well equipped as the bad guys sometimes. If they're going to be having an assault rifle, we'd better have an assault rifle. I mean, that's not really a bad statement. I mean, really?
Well, but it is.
If they really, really are just going to use this in a capacity where, like the bank robberies, okay, but you're not going to have an M16 out in a populated area. You know what I mean? You're not going to be
going to use them at protests and
right.
Anytime that we disagree with them, they are going to use it. It is not for the bank robbers.
No, it's not. And if the bank robbers have an M16, then, I don't know. How are you gonna, like in the case of that LA bank robbery he referred to, even if the cops did have freaking M16s, you can't shoot that kind of a rifle out in a public anywhere. I mean, you got ricochet factor, you're gonna have more people dead.
Well, that's, they really care. As long as they get their guy, they don't care how many innocents get killed along the way.
So I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, though. You know what I mean? I always try to do that. With, like, people I talk to or anybody I encounter. I try to, reserve judgment and place myself in their shoes. So.
Yeah, but how many people are killed every year by cops, and how many cops are killed?
Right.
Cops are a lot safer than we are.
Right. So, let me keep going here.
Okay.
Sullivan says every officer in his department has been issued an M16. Some of them from the military surplus. His officers advised military and state officials of the status and whereabouts of the weapons several times a year to protect against theft and misuse. You have quarterly checks, and once a year you have to do a memorandum of understanding and a physical check once a year, and then quarterly checks. Okay? When the weapons reach the end of their product life, they are returned to the military. Well, what the hell good is that? Well, that's kind of messed up, don't you think?
Well, they send them back to them to destroy.
Or to resell as junk.
Well, look, all the guns they were confiscating, some of the states, they were reselling them out there back into the public.
Right.
Getting money.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, Georgia Congressman Hank Johnson may unveil legislation next month to better track the military gear and restrict the program. Oh boy! Here we go, people. Oh shit.
That won't fly.
Oh my god, that was a bad sentence right there, people. Several southern law enforcement programs were investigated for excessive and disproportionate participation in the program, essentially applying for receiving items that were unsuited for their mission. We get requests on a daily basis and verify their requests, what their requests are, and that they actually need those items, and when we approve those requests or deny them based upon their eligibility, said Harless of the Indiana program, not all the military surplus is lethal. The Cumberland Police Department has a pickup truck, a Humvee, and an ATV that it acquired through the program, along with a handful of rifles and some clothing. We've been able to get a lot of other vehicles and equipment through the program and small departments, especially. It's a really big benefit to us to be able to do that, said Cumberland Police Chief Jim Crope. You don't use it daily, but when you need it, it's really good to have it. The Law Enforcement Support Office estimates it had transferred $4.3 billion worth of military property to local and state agencies since its inception in 1990. Wow! This is much of this gear that observers would say be scrapped, stored, or transferred to foreign governments if not reused by the military. No way. Screw all that. At the end of the day, it gives the guys the ability to go home safely, said Downing. So no matter what the price tag has on it, as long as they get to go home, that's all that really matters. You know what? I agree with that statement. Let me read that again. At the end
I don't know.
Hang on a second. I think the guy has a point, actually. I gotta agree with that statement. He says at the end of the day, it gives guys the ability to go home safely. Okay. Said Downing, no. So no matter what the price tag is on it, as long as they get to go home, and that's all that really matters. Well, really, the cops are out there for supposedly our protection. Okay,
they're out there not to protect, like they took all those off the cars. They are out there to enforce the law. Period.
Right.
And laws they make up in their head too at times.
Well, the paragraph before that one, let me read it again. The Law Enforcement Support Office estimates that it has transferred $4.3 billion worth of military property to local, state, and state agencies since its inception in 1990. Much of this gear that observers say would be scrapped, stored, or transferred to foreign governments. That is, and if not reused by the military. All those things should not happen. None of that stuff should be scrapped. None of it should be really being stored. It should be offered to the American public only, not being transferred to freaking foreign governments. That's
right, but I don't think our local police need them either. Scrap them, I don't care.
Honestly, I mean, to be honest with you, just from my experience of, like, the military surplus thing with Mark, I know what you're saying about the cops, but it's actually, I think, really, even if the cops do have it, it's just better than sending it to a freaking foreign government or to Al-Qaeda or anything.
Well, scrap it then. You know, what did they do with all the military stuff before?
The thing is, with scrapping it, there's useful gear there. There's a lot of things that...
Okay, sell the clothing and all that, but stop giving the police all this stuff, because who are they fighting? Us!
Giving this crap to the cops. I mean, who's paying for it? Is the federal, it didn't really say in this article if the feds were paying for this stuff. How is the cops just...
But they get it, most of the cops get it free just for going and they just gotta go pick it up.
Right.
You know, the gas and stuff, they're not paying for this. But if you wanna go and get something, you have to pay for it. Right. But who are they arming these police for? Who against? We're the enemy, so you know, they're getting armed while they're trying to take our protection away from us.
That's right. I mean, this is this is what this is why they're installing a police state. But I don't know. I'm a little. The department should have to pay for this gear. I mean, and be like everybody else, really.
Well, we pay for it, really. I mean, it's coming out of our tax money. If they
right, absolutely.
We already paid for it in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And this is their way of making money off that twice over, 3 times over. And what do they say? Once they're done with the crap, they give it back to the freaking military, and then it's, you know, it's crap by then. It's not even worth buying.
And look at how they're using this. When they went on that community, they were using that gear.
Right. Oh yeah, they were definitely using that gear. Absolutely.
Against people that didn't have no means at all of protecting themselves or causing the cops any harm, but still they had to have all that gear and all the big tank thing and all that when they knew there was not going to be any resistance. So this is what's happening. They are arming our law enforcement against us.
Yeah.
Period. Yep.
Well, that's very obvious. Absolutely. That's what's going on here. So, and we were talking about, you know, we were talking about what happens when they come knocking on your door, you know what I mean? Then that's when people wake up finally with all this stuff.
Right, and not until then. Remember that guy, it was a few months back, when the police, they wanted to get into his house because they thought he had a weapon or something. His wife him and his wife had gotten a fight, but she had left, and he's standing there in the doorway with no weapon on him, and they shot him. And then they didn't know he was dead, and they were talking to him, he didn't answer, and then they used that big old tank thing and rammed in his door to find out he was dead. You know,
Jeez.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, it's not only happening to religious communities. It is happening on an individual basis every day in this country. Police are killing innocent people, and you could be next. These police aren't in near the danger that we are in.
Right. Well, no, they're not near as dangerous as they put us in. So,
I mean, look at every protest you see. Do you see the protesters in full riot gear? No. But you see law enforcement in full riot gear with clubs and ready to beat on us.
Yep.
Oh, I'm just so, and why people don't see this, I just don't get it. I just don't. People see it every day in protests. The G20, they use that thing, that big loud noise that does permanent ear damage. How about all the people that were in their homes there and weren't doing nothing? But you're going to damage their earring. Some of them may never hear again.
Right. That's right.
Just, I don't know. I want to know why, like our law enforcement took off to serve and protect off their cars. I should go ask the captain. I think I will. I think I'll go ask them, and then I'll write a letter to the editor, because this is pissing me off.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, they basically have already put the police state grid in, and now they're just waiting for that cable to be lit.
To admit it. I want to go, and I think I will later today. I'll set up an appointment and go in and talk to my chief and ask him why they took to protect and serve off the cop cars. Now they just say, police, are you not going to serve, protect us anymore? What's up with that? And then get him on the record. I think I will.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, that's
just off now.
You should definitely follow through with that.
I am going to. I make an appointment because I want to go talk to him and ask him some questions.
Yeah. Very good. There you go. You go.
Yeah, and then have him on my ass night and day. Yep. But that's okay. I can take it.
That's what they'll do. I mean, going there once, okay. I'm sure they'll be fine with that, but if you keep going back, if you bug them and bug them and bug them and bug them, that's when they start getting all weird.
Yeah, but then what comes to mind is I've seen other people that just ask police questions and they ended up beaten to a pulp or something.
Well, you take that risk.
That's you gotta get answers when you got questions. Where do you go?
It's going to be interesting that if you actually get an appointment with the guy, that'll be interesting.
Oh, well, I'm sure I can. I mean, we're a little town. I could just call and say I would like an appointment with the captain or chief or whoever he is.
Right.
Or maybe I should take it to the city council, one or the other. I don't know. I have to think on it.
Well, let's see. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, let's see. Do we have any happy news anywhere?
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Not that I see.
How about this California teen shot to death on the side of the highway during a traffic stop? Now, this was published May 18th.
That is not happy news.
I know, but I couldn't find any happy news, so we're going to go with this one.
Okay.
But because this one really gets to the heart of things. Salton City, California. A teen on his way to go on a date was shot to death on the side of the highway during a traffic stop. Police have been vague and with details, and his family is demanding answers. The incident occurred along Highway 86 on April 18th, just before 6 p.m. Imperial County Sheriff's deputies pulled over 19-year-old Adrian Parra while he was on his way to take a girl out to enjoy dinner and a movie. For reasons unclear, the traffic stop reached a point where deputies opened fire on Pereira, and I lost my place. Okay, and he was fatally wounded. Even weeks later, his family says that the department is being elusive with details. They would only say that the stop was for vehicle code violations. Pereira was shot 3 or 4 times, his mother revealed. Can you take this over, Wendy? I'll give you the link real quick.
Sure.
Okay. Here it is. Sorry, guys.
Do you have to bail?
I don't know yet. I'm going to find out real quick. But there's the link. If you could just finish up. It's a short article. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Let's see. Oh, it's very short. Okay. Let's see. For reasons unclear, the traffic stop reached a point where deputies opened fire on Para, and he was fatally wounded. Even weeks later, his family says the department is being elusive with details. They would only say that the stop was for vehicle code violations. Para was shot 3 or 4 times, his mother revealed. What happened? Let's see what happened. What happened? What went where they shot him so many times? Why can't they answer the question if there was a camera? Asked Maria Dunas, Para's mother, to KMIR. But police have refused to speak about the incident because of an ongoing investigation. Para of Mecca, California, was an honor roll student who graduated from high school last year and was planning on attending college. The 2 officers involved went on temporary paid leave but since have returned to work, KMIR reported. His mother, Maria Dunas, is requesting that any witnesses to the incident call her with information at blah 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 blah. Okay, so that is the end of that. I'm not sure. That's the thing is that's always the first thing that happens when the police, they always go on temporary paid leave upon an investigation. And if it's actually found where they are going to be charged, it's very hard to get cops fired from their jobs because all cops belong to unions, and the unions are notorious for going through steps to get a worker fired, whether it be a firefighter or a medical worker or a cop. So this is the reason why they're always on paid leave after they shoot somebody to death. And kill an innocent teen. They're trying, it sounds to me like they're trying to, corroborate and get their freaking story straight here. That's what it sounds like to me, because this article is very vague, and lots of questions obviously are going unanswered, so suffice to say, those guys are, trying to get on the same page with this, from the sounds to me, which is typical of the brotherhood, the police brotherhood.
The gang is more like it.
Gang, yeah, and that's pretty much the behavior of it, everybody's been segregated into these gangs.
Well, it's even worse than the street gangs because these guys have no accountability at all.
And they've got license to kill, so, and street gangs don't really have license to kill because they can be charged with murder.
Yeah, I you know what? Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Do you have to take off?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't.
To leave? Oh, okay.
No, I don't. Wait, let me see where. Oh, yeah, it was in this article. There was a new phrase that I had not heard before. Maybe you had, but let me see if I can find it real quick. It was about police have let's see, physically incapable. Where is it? But it gave police this immunity. Oh God, come on, let me find it. Doctor. Okay, I think it's right here. Compensates the rest of the hands. Okay, the federal ruling affirms a legal loophole which allows targeted home invasions, warrantless searches, and gun compensation that rest entirely in the hands of the executive branch. The emergency aid doctrine enables police to act without a search warrant, even if there is time to get one. When government wants to check on someone, his or her rights are essentially suspended until the person's sanity has been forcibly validated. It's saying that police can do anything without even a warrant when they can get one. It's a loophole in there somewhere, and we should find out what that really means, because and it said even if the officers did exceed constitutional boundaries, the court document states they are protected by qualified immunity. Now, what is that? I never heard that before.
Say it again?
Okay. Even if officers do exceed constitutional boundaries, like they, against our rights, the court document states they are protected by qualified immunity. I never heard that term before.
Well, let's see. I'll put it in the freaking search engine.
Yeah. I mean, they keep coming up with these things, and
Qualified what?
Qualified immunity.
Okay, let's see what it says. It's slow here.
Oh, it's okay. I'll read this other little part while you're doing that. It says, in short, privacy, which was admittedly encroached upon, was left unprotected by the Bill of Rights because of the extenuating circumstances in which police executed an emergency detention with no warrant, no criminal charges, and no input from the judiciary. Similarly, the gun confiscation was also deemed as acceptable due to a so-called emergency, which police claimed had been taking place for 9 consecutive hours. And this article is about a lady who just mentioned suicide to her doctor because somebody had died or something and she was feeling bad. But finally, the police went to her house. But that term, I've never heard it before.
Okay, I am putting this in the chat room because it's very lengthy, but this is the FBI's explanation of qualified immunity. And they have a very extensive explanation here for this.
Okay, well, in this situation, the doctor called the police because the lady mentioned the word suicide. So all these police are out looking for this woman. They went by her house. They went everywhere. And the lady must have noticed the police by her house. She called her doctor and said, I don't want to commit suicide. I was upset. Call off the cops. And so a few hours later, she went home. She was in her home. Well, the cops knocked at her door. She refused to let them in. She said, I want you guys called off. I'm fine. Well, for her protection, they broke down her door. They handcuffed her. They searched her home, and they found a gun in a locked case, and they took her off to a mental hospital. But, they said they broke into her house without no probable cause, really. She told them she was fine. But that's where this came from. So I guess if you say the word suicide, your door can be taken down and you can be handcuffed and shackled and taken away?
Oh, of course. Here's the qualified immunity here. Here's this, I think, in a nutshell. The question of when public officials are entitled to qualified immunity from lawsuits or damages is a recurring one for the Supreme Court. Of course it is. During this term, the court is scheduled to hear oral arguments in 3 cases that involve questions of qualified immunity, and recent terms have seen more such appeals, and this was from February 17th of 2014.
Well, yeah, they're getting more, but that the Supreme Court's bought and paid for.
Well, sure, absolutely.
So, they're going to leave it as stands. Of course the police were right.
Right.
And in this case, the police said they only did this because they were afraid for her life.
Well, this is where they can split hairs with legal loopholes such as this. This is exactly how they're able to get away with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And until the Supreme Court says, no, that's not constitutional, which they should be saying if any of them have a legal history worth their salt, they're ruling in such ways that allows this to continue, which is very unconstitutional, and they freaking know it.
I know it even says that even though that her rights had been encroached, it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Lumper. Lumper says, qualified immunity is a doctrine in U.S. federal law that arises in cases brought against the state officials under 42 U.S.C. section 1983 and against federal officials under Brevins versus 6 unknown unnamed agents 403 U.S. 3388 1971. Thank you, Lumper, for that.
Thank you.
So.
Well, now I know what it is, but I mean, you keep hearing terms come up that you've never heard before. And these are being put in action with not, we don't know half the laws that go out there unless you follow that page every single day. Look at all the laws they put out every year. Thousands of laws restricting us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And not even the cops know the laws. I mean, they make up laws as they go along, and then they seem to get away with that too.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't know.
It's getting much, much worse. There's this one. This is an interesting one here. Cops take down. I'm gonna switch gears here off the police state. It still has to do with cops, but let's see. It says cops take down drugstore robber carrying GPS tag pill bottle. So here we go, guys. They're going to come after you no matter what you do now. Police shot and killed an armed man suspected of robbing a drugstore on the Upper East Side Friday afternoon. The NYPD confirmed. Scott Cato, 45, robbed the Health Source Pharmacy on 2nd Avenue and 68th Street Friday afternoon, demanding cash and Oxycontin, police said. He fled in an SUV and made almost 30 blocks when cops tracked him down. Police said how? One of the pill bottles he took from the drugstore was actually a decoy containing a GPS device, police said. Officers confronted him in his car, which was stopped in traffic on East 96th Street, right underneath the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Drive overpass. The NYPD said he pulled a gun on them, so they opened fire, killing him, police said. Of course.
I wonder how many pill bottles have GPS in them.
Well, it was a decoy one, they said. So the pharmacist obviously has a little decoy in there, and he grabs that and throws the rest in there with that. So the guy's not, if he's getting away, he's not going to be looking in the pills, in the pill things for the pills yet. He's got to get to a safe place.
Maybe, but they don't tell us everything. Maybe that's a way of tracking how many people are on what pills. You never know.
Well, perhaps that could be. I mean, I don't know. It's just what the story is saying.
Yeah.
I guess we can deduce that or deduce whatever. Let's see. Scores of cops were deployed to the area. The shooting investigation caused a massive traffic backup. Officers advised motorists to avoid the southbound FDR Drive. Cato was suspected of at least 6 armed robberies since December 2011, including a prior robbery at the same pharmacy back in December 2013. Now they don't have to worry about his ass anymore. Mm-hmm. The NYPD has been using the GPS-enabled bait bottles for more than a year. Purdue Pharma, maker of Oxycontin, also makes the bait bottles. Oh, really now? The company told Fox 5 that the traceable bottles have helped nab more than 100 robbery suspects around the country. The 4 police officers involved in the shooting were taken to New York Presbyterian Hospital as a precaution, NYPD said. The AP reported that they were treated for ringing in their ears.
Wow.
Because of the freaking shooting out in the middle of a fucking public street.
Wow.
These guys are freaking nuts.
They don't care.
No, they don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
So they were able to track that guy down, and they are able to they're gonna track and trace everybody's movements. It's not gonna matter anymore whether you are shooting off a firearm, there's a GPS for that, and whether you are, stealing some pills or stealing out of, everything's gonna have the GPS tracker in it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. They are coming, it's all, the whole grid is coming down. They've gotta use these excuses in order to do it. So the more people are assholes and running around being Oxycontin heads and drug addicts and giving the cops excuses
hooked on.
Yeah, that they get everybody hooked on. You notice how the pharmaceutical company was making these bait bottles?
Mm-hmm.
So if that doesn't say entrapment, I don't know what does. They get you hooked on oxy, and then you gotta steal the shit, and hey, they've got the bait bottles too to nab your ass. So this is where it's the same damn thing where, and how much you want to make a bet that freaking pharmacy has investments in prisons, the prison system as well. So it's the same assholes who create the drugs are the same assholes that are trying to get you into the prisons.
Yeah, well, now, you best be careful when you go shopping. This couple, a police captain seen them leaving a hydroponic store with a small package. So they thought, well, we better investigate. And so they started going through the people's trash, and they found these tea leaves. And they tested them, there, not in a lab, but with a little testy thing there, and it tested positive. So they raided these people's house, put the man on the floor with his hands above his head, or on his head with his face down, beat his son, and discovered in the basement they were growing vegetables.
Of course.
And then they went back to the lab, and they took the tea leaves to the lab, and found out it was not marijuana. But it all came about because this police captain seen the man leaving a hydroponic store. Come on.
Are they staking the place out? What the hell?
Yeah, they watched him. It was a few-week investigation, and they were rummaging through their trash, and they found some leaves that, they thought...
Rummaging through their trash?
Yep. Thought they had to be marijuana leaves because they knew that this guy had to be growing marijuana in his basement. And kind of turns out, no. But nothing happened to the cops, of course not.
They should be sued.
Yeah, they should. But they went with the SWAT team to the people's house. And they were digging through the trash for a couple of weeks before they found that. And then they went in the basement.
Through the trash? Yep. What the hell is the deal with these guys? Don't they freaking know pot when they see it? I guess come on.
And then, and the test they do out on the street, came back as, yes, positive. But when they took the leaves to an actual lab, no, it wasn't marijuana, it was tea leaves. Mm-hmm. But all because this captain seen a man leaving a hydroponic store with a package.
I think anybody who leaves a hydroponic store is going to have a freaking package.
Mm-hmm. Well, you would think. That's why you go in. And, come on. They went in the basement and all they found were some, growing some vegetables. It was the father-son project. And they tore that house up.
Great, and they traumatized his kids and taught them more how to live in a police state.
And they don't apologize,
Objective acquired.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, I mean, wherever, you know, that got me because, I mean, for my vegetables, I go to the hydroponic store and get my fertilizer because it does great for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean.
You can get good organic fertilizer from hydroponic stores.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I got Grow Big. Oh, it's doing wonders for my vegetables and stuff.
Yeah, see, that they have good stuff there at those stores.
But if you go there, you have to be, you know, growing pot. There's no other logical reason. But.
Well, here, what state did this happen in?
Oh, I closed the page.
Oh, okay.
I think it was California, not California, Oregon, I think. I'm not positive. I'll try and get it.
That's okay. I was just.
But anyway, you know, just be careful if you go into a nursery or anything like that, because.
Yeah, going to a nursery, you gotta be.
Growing something illegal.
Something. So we're all guilty until proven innocent. That's pretty much what they're training us for.
Yeah, well, we're the enemy, and they're saying it in every action that they do.
Yeah.
And they are geared up to fight war against people who have no gear.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
I'll go ahead and...
go ahead and find something else.
Yes, I can do that. Let's see. Well, let's see. Here's one that I really wanted to... Targeted gun sellers say high-risk label from feds cuts off banking options and restricts business. Obama plan pressures financial institutions. Here we go, guys. More targeting of gun sellers. Gun retailers say the Obama administration is trying to put them out of business with regulations and investigations that bypass Congress and choke off their lines of credit, freezing their assets, and prohibit online sales. Holy sheep shit. This is not good.
They're what? They're what?
Gun retailers say the Obama administration is trying to put them out of business with regulations and investigations that bypass Congress and choke off their lines of credit, freezing their assets, and prohibit online sales. Since 2011, regulators have increased security on banks' customers. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in 2011 urged banks to better manage the risks of their merchant customers who employ payment processors such as PayPal for credit card transactions. The FDIC listed gun retailers as, quote, high risk with porn stores and drug paraphernalia shops. Nice! So here we go. So now they're being classified with drug paraphernalia shops and porn stores. Real nice. Here we go, people. Fasten your seatbelts. Meanwhile, the Justice Department has launched Operation Choke Point, a credit card fraud probe focusing on banks and payment processors. Oh, this is rich. The threat of enforcement has prompted some banks to cut ties with online gun retailers, even if those companies have valid licenses and good credit histories. This administration has very clearly told the banking industry which customers they feel represent, quote, reputational risk to do business with, said Peter Weinstock, a lawyer at Hunton and Williams LLP. So financial institutions are reacting to the extraordinary enforcement arsenal by being ultra-conservative in who they do business with. Any companies that engage in any margin of risk as defined by this administration are being dropped. They're financially going after the guns, guys. Does
anyone get to see their list?
Are you kidding me? Operation Choke Point? Dude, what the fuck's going on? Here we go. I'm sorry to use that, but what the heck's going on? I'm telling you right now. A Justice Department representative said the agency is conducting several investigations that aim to hold accountable banks, quote, who are knowingly assisting fraudulent merchants who harm consumers, unquote. Holy shit. We are committed to ensuring that our efforts to combat fraud, they're calling it fraud.
Well, what if you get a paper cut? Isn't that harmful? I mean, should we, shut down all
Absolutely.
paper companies?
That's right.
It's getting out of hand.
It's getting way out of hand. We're committed to ensuring that our efforts to combat fraud do not discourage or inhibit the lawful conduct of these honest merchants, the Justice Department said in a May 7th blog post. So they freaking blogged that. The Justice Department put that on a freaking blog.
They know what they're doing.
Hell yeah, they know what they're doing. It says, but the gun retailers say their businesses are being targeted in the exclusive branch's efforts. Says, bullet point, T.R. Liberty, owner and operator of Top Gun Firearms Training and Supply in Miami, has felt the sting firsthand. Last month, his local bank, Bank United N.A., dumped his online business from his service. Unbelievable. An explanatory email from the bank said, quote, this letter in no way reflects any derogatory reasons for such action on your behalf, but rather one of industry. Unfortunately, your company's line of business is not, is not commensurate with the industries we work with. Unbelievable. The other bullet point here says, Black Rifle Armory in Henderson, Nevada had its bank accounts frozen this month as the bank tried to determine whether if any of Black Rifle's online transactions were suspicious. Here's another one. In 2002, Bank of America suddenly dropped the 12-year account of Macmillan Group International, a gun manufacturer in Phoenix, even though the company had a good credit history. The owner said, gun parts maker American Spirit Firearms in Scottsdale, Arizona received a similar treatment by Bank of America, the country's largest banking institution. People, if you have money in Bank of America, I would think twice about that. Okay, that was just me adding that on, thanks. This seems to be happening with greater frequency and many more gun dealers, said Joe Scroshman, owner of American Spirit Arms. At first, it was the bigger guys, gun parts manufacturers, or high-profile retailers. Now, the smaller mom-and-pop shops are being choked out, and they need their cash to buy they need that cash to buy inventory. Freezing their assets would put them out of business, choking off access to banks. After Macmillan Group owner Kelly Macmillan publicized Bank of America's action on his Facebook account, he found that thousands of small gun shop owners across the country were in the same situation. Banks either were dropping them, freezing their accounts, or refusing to process their online sales. So he opened a credit card processing company for the gun industry and called Macmillan Merchant Studios. 4 generations of my family have been in this industry. This is my way to give back, Mr. McMillan, said Mr. McMillan after adding that many of his customers were denied banking access because of the nature of the business. This is an attempt by the federal government to keep people from buying guns in a way for them to combat the Second Amendment rights we have. It's a covert way for them this is really important, people. It's a covert way for them to control our right to manufacture guns and for individuals to buy guns. Let's see.
Yeah,
it keeps going. I should absolutely read this because this is just important Operation Chokehold here. So, hold on, this stupid thing is playing here. Okay. Bank United N.A., which dropped Top Gun Firearms Training and Supply in Miami from its customer list declined to comment. In a statement to the Washington Times, Bank of America said, quote, "We would not deny banking services to an organization solely on the basis of its industry," unquote. Yeah, right. The banking giant blamed a misunderstanding with the Arizona gun manufacturers, Macmillan Group International, and American Spirit Firearms. Oh, it was just a simple misunderstanding, huh? Yeah, right. However, American Banking Association, the industry's advocacy group in Washington, said its businesses deemed risky will be frozen out of the financial system if the Justice Department continues Operation Choke Point because of the regulatory burden and risk of regulation will be too great for less specialized banks to bear. We are being threatened with a regulatory regime that attempts to foist us on the obligation to monitor all types of transactions, Richard Reese, a senior vice president at American Bankers Association, said in the April 28th issue of American Banker, quote, "All of this is predicated on a notion that the banks are a choke point for all businesses," unquote. In an interview with the Times, Mr. Reese said that the cost of doing business with gun retailers outweighs the benefits for some banks, given that regulators deemed the industry as, quote, "risky." The state laws on the sale of guns and ammunition and the Justice Department's enforcement. The Independent Community Bankers of America, an association for small banks, said enforcement actions from the Justice Department were too broad and overly aggressive. While preventing fraud is a top concern for the community banks, it needs to be balanced with ensuring that businesses and consumers that operate in accordance with applicable laws can still access payment systems. Bankers Association President Camden Fine told the Justice Department in an April 7th letter, ICBA requests that the DOJ suspend Operation Choke Point immediately and focus its resources directly on businesses that may be violating the law rather than targeting banks providing payment services. Justice Operations threat to, quote, "close access to the financial system to law-abiding businesses because the mere prospect of an enforcement action is sufficient to cause a financial institution to restrict access to their payment systems only to only established companies that present low risks," unquote, the organization said. This is hardcore, you guys.
Yeah, they can't. They've tried every way possible to get our guns. They can't. So now what they're going to do is shut down the businesses where you would get your guns and
Exactly. And then they go after the gun shows, and then, wow, hey, they've successfully choked it all off so that nobody's able to do that unless they do person-to-person transaction. This is really here we go. If this is not like an absolute outright action on the part of the banksters and the Federal Reserve and the federal government, and this is I don't know what is. I think this is pretty much the red flag here we've all been waiting for here, honestly. Okay, let me keep going. I'm almost done. Wow, maybe I'm not almost done. Holy crap. No statute. I think this is worth a read, though. I mean, we've got 20 minutes left. I think I should keep going on this because this is extremely important as to the next step of our Second Amendment erosion. They're getting rid of the Second Amendment by way of the banking system. So here we go. It says no statutory authority. Regulations on the financial industry have increased over the past few years, said Thomas V. Bartarian, chairman of Deschert LLP, a global law firm specializing in regulatory and financial matters. Okay, here we go with this asshole. He noted the chilling effect of overregulation by the financial fraud and I take that back. He noted the chilling effect of overregulation by the Financial Fraud Enforcement Task Force, an interagency behemoth that includes the departments of includes the departments of Commerce, Justice, Labor, Education, Homeland Security, and Justice, along with the IRS, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Secret Service, the FBI of course, and the Social Security Administration and Federal Trade Commission. Wow, that's a lot of freaking agencies, people. Involved in this. The key to effective regulation is balancing between too little and too much regulation, Mr. Vatarian said. The problem here is that there are now so many regulators, including the Department of Justice. I was like, wow, didn't he didn't include them, but yes, he did. With their fingers on the scales and on the balancing act. Let me read that again. The problem here is there are so many regulators, including the Department of Justice, which with their fingers on the scales on the balancing act. Congressional Republicans say the Obama administration is using its regulatory powers to shutter industries it doesn't like. Really? You think so? Last year, 31 Republicans accused the Justice Department and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation of intimidating banks and payment processors to terminate business relationships with lawful lenders. In a March hearing before the Senate Banking and Housing and Urban Affairs Subcommittee on Consumer Protection, Senator David Vitter, Louisiana Republican, complained that several payday lenders, another industry labeled risky by the administration, were being dropped by their banks in his home state. There's 3 pages of this, people. I'm going to read all 3. Dang it. I'm almost done. There is a determined... Hold on, guys. Oh my God, this thing is playing. There is a determined effort from the Justice Department to the regulators to cut off credit and to use other tactics to force payday lenders out of business, said Mr. Vitter said. I find that deeply troubling because it has no statutory basis, no statutory authority. In a House hearing in April, FDIC Acting General Counsel Richard Osterman defended his agency's definition of what constitutes a, quote, risky business. Excuse me, people. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Let's see. In a House hearing in April, FDIC actor, I just read that, subject to money laundering, what constitutes a risky business? Subject to money laundering and other criminal behavior. But it made clear that no bank is outright prohibited from serving any such companies. Yeah, right. We have actually put out a policy statement on this issue to make it very clear from the very top, as long as the financial institutions are properly managing their relationships and the risks. They're neither prohibited nor discouraged from providing these services, Mr. Osterman said. Basically, what we're saying is these types of programs can involve high risk activities which could create litigation risk and reputation risk for financial institutions. He said they need to do due diligence to ensure that the folks who they're banking with are acting in a safe and sound manner. But the cost of that due diligence, coupled with the threat of a lawsuit for doing business with a customer in an industry the government has defined as risky, is having a chilling effect on legitimate companies such as gun dealers, said Mr. Weinstock, the Huntington and Williams lawyer. We are one of the most heavily regulated industries in America, said Mr. Scroshman of American Spirit Arms. We have to ship our guns to another federal licensed dealers for pickup. The people that they are picking up the rifles have to go through a background check to make sure they don't have any felonies. You can't own a gun or pass the background check if you do. All this is, people, is an assault on our Second Amendment rights. And that,
exactly.
End of that. And that I thought that was a very important article to read, because this is exactly, they're trying to figure out any kind of way to restrict the guns out of the public. So we've got...
Well, yeah, look, Colt 45 left California, took their business out of here because of what they wanted them, that stamp on every gun that would stamp into the bullet shell. They are driving the companies into the ground.
That's right. That's exactly right. And they're going to use every single tool in their little arsenal, such as this choke point.
And executive orders.
Executive orders are coming. I mean, they've already been there. They're just waiting to be announced. They're just waiting for that next Sandy Hook false flag. They're just waiting. Waiting. And soon, and this is why the USDA has, requested 30 million freaking guns,
right.
Submachine guns here. This is why the Social Security Administration is demanding all these bullets and weapons.
I mean, what, are the plants going to attack them? No, they're for us.
Right. They're going to be used against us. Absolutely. And they're trying to also dry up the market for us. They're also, I mean, you can't get freaking 22 shells anywhere, hardly. It's very, very difficult. This is really, it's gone beyond a tipping point here where I think it's fairly freaking obvious what's going the frick on here, people.
What are all these agencies doing armed anyway? The BLM, agriculture company, the Social Security have guns, the IRS. Every agency is armed. Why? I mean, they aren't paramilitary. They aren't law enforcement. Why are they all carrying guns?
Yep, that's right. I mean,
only law enforcement and military
are
supposed to be carrying guns on a daily basis.
I think the conclusion that can be drawn from this last 2 hours of is that they're coming for us. They're coming for us, and there's no doubt about that. I think we've pretty much proven that by all the stories that we've covered here today. Yeah.
So beware, be prepared, people, and we best unite. And I mean really unite. Get rid of all this little petty shit, these prejudice. Our only really defense against this is to come together.
Yeah,
stop, thinking everyone is a psyop or everyone is out to disrupt, when just by spreading that around is going to keep people from uniting.
Right. And the very ones that do spread it around are the feds anyway. They're the ones that are spreading those rumors around, and then everybody runs with it like it's the God's gospel truth. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's why I went out to the Bundy Ranch. I wanted to find out because I've heard so many things, and I go out there and I find these are just real patriots that believe in what they're doing there and don't want a Waco to happen, and they aren't being violent and all this lies. And so, every time I see people come up with, it's controlled opposition, or it's this, or it's set up by this group or that group. Why are we doing this? Every time someone or a group get together to do something good, we turn on them.
Well, the government turns on them. The government labels as a risky risky agency or a risky group or a potential domestic terror group or, hey, all these labels, they mean something to them. You know what I mean?
But I mean, what I'm saying is, why are the alternative media and stuff, we hear something like, okay, I just seen it in chat, that the, American Spring was a controlled, opposition. Well, who says it was? I wasn't there. I know people that were, and they'll be back, and we'll talk with them. But that just, you know what I mean? That just goes to make us not want to join in on something that probably was very good and made a statement. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I mean, but the problem is that in a way, Kufu said that is right, because they really are infiltrated and co-opted.
Some of them are.
Most of I can say from personal experience with the militia, most of it is. Most
well,
of
the American Spring, those were people coming from all across the country, with signs and stuff saying, we don't want politicians to get any more money. That way that takes the corruption out of it. If they can't take campaign donations and lobbyists giving them money. So I don't understand how, why anyone wouldn't want to be for that. And after seeing that picture, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, see, I still haven't seen it.
I'll find that picture. I gotta remember where I found it, but, yeah, I mean, the picture, there was a big march on the White House. Huge. Mm-hmm. So, how could that be? Why would someone want to put that out there and bring all those people together there? I don't know. It just seems like we're fighting ourselves.
Well, sure. That's what they want. That's what the design is for us to be, they want us to kill each other off and pit one race against each other, pit one ideology against each other, pit the religions against each other.
Why don't we all just pit together against the government, period?
Right. That's what my question's always been. Why can't that's what I kind of learned from the LA riots. What I learned coming from those, coming out of that thing was, huh?
I was down in the middle of the Compton riots.
Yeah, see, what I took away from that mostly is that this is us against them. This is all of us against them. It had nothing to do with, blacks getting beat up by the cops. It had nothing to do with any of that crap. This is all of us against them, and that's what I came away with that. And ever since that, I've always, thought that in my personal way that I conduct my whole life, you know what I mean? So, it's, I try really hard not to get sucked into the tide of pointing fingers and calling this jackass a fed. When you prove it to me, then
right,
okay, there you go. And that's been, there's a lot of guys out there that are proving it to me too.
And so sometimes, it is, and that, then to stay away from them. But, like I always say, when I see people trying to do good, I have to believe in them until I see them do something that, not hear something, but actually see, because there are a lot of people out there working hard.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy because, if you're living in Florida and you got some asshole in Washington State, it's how in the hell is a guy that lives in Florida going to verify for himself? You know what I mean? And there's so much of it going around. So,
rumors get started and picked up, taken and taken.
It's so hard to verify this shit. How in the hell are you going to verify it? The only way
we've got to get somebody in every single town so we can get a report.
I don't know. You know what I mean? And then
I know what you mean.
But then you're here we go again. It's just kind of like in the chat room, where somebody says, "Hey, that guy's a fed." You know what I mean? How is anybody verifying this?
I know everybody's ready to believe the worst though, and that's really harmful to us too. Until someone proves themselves to be, You know, I mean, just because somebody makes a comment or something, it doesn't mean that, you know, they're the enemy. I mean, we're human. I know things come out of my mouth that shouldn't sometimes, you know, but are misunderstood or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know. I just wish that, like the tiny dot, all of us would just get together and be the same human race against the evil enemy, which they are, and they're winning, and it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, well, don't let it make you live in fear.
I'm not fearful. It's just, I'm scared for the people, for us, our kids, our grandkids, the people we care about. I mean, where we're headed is not a pretty place, and we got a small window here.
Damn it, my computer froze up, so I can't read the schedule.
Oh.
Close the show.
Let me get to the schedule here.
Damn it totally froze, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, computers are, believe me, they're going wacky. Okay, right here, and get to the schedule.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
You there? No.
Okay, I'm here. No, I had to turn off because the show was going to come full blast in here. Okay, let me get to the schedule. I'll be quiet just for a second because it'll come up again.
Yeah.
I have to go down and turn it off. Okay, so today coming up after us is Vocal Local with Real Roberts, The Edge with John Stokes at 3, Jack Blood Show, love Jack Blood Show.
Me too.
5 to 8, Hour of the Times and Mystery Babylon series. Then at 8 p.m., Boiler Room with Jimmy Funky. Everybody likes that show.
Yep.
9 o'clock, Truth on the Tracks with Brandon Turbeville. 10 p.m. for us Pacific Coast people. Primer time with Dan and Michael Random. And 11 o'clock, the Anti-Media Radio with Nick Barnaby. There you go.
Yes, stay tuned to UCY, everyone, and go check out some of the sponsors too. Give a little look-see there, and
if you can dig deep, donate $5. I mean, I have already this month. $5 would do so much for us and really help Jules out. So,
yeah. Jules,
thanks for hanging.
Yeah, everybody, thanks for hanging. And there's the bumper, so we did it pretty good today. Thank you,
Have a wonderful day and love everybody. They hate that.
Take care. Love y'all.
Bye-bye now.